This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so welcome back everyone. We have looked into what are the different type of tools that are used by the IT business analyst in the last segment. In this one, let's look into some theoretical concepts from BABOK, which you don't have to really by heart or mug up all of these concepts, but it'll be helpful in terms of knowing at a very high level as to what are these all about. First of all, a little bit more about what is BABOK. So BABOK is a short for Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. It is nothing but a sort of a guide which is prepared by IIBA. So IIBA is again International Institute of Business Analysis. It is a Canada-based organization which tries to bring about a structured approach for business analysis across organizations, and then they also have their own certifications, and they release this revised versions of BABOK, which is more like a book, uh, which has all these concepts of what should be part of the business analysis as such. But the only major issue that I find with this book is that it is highly theoretical and with not much of examples used to explain the concepts, so it becomes very dry, and in fact you end up seeing a lot of jargon, a lot of uh, methods, techniques and all mentioned in it, which you eventually would anyways be using in your project. Maybe you may not be giving that specific name to it, but you would eventually use whatever is works best for the project. This book is more like putting all of those together into one particular section, and give you an idea like how it is done. If you want, you can even get the online version of this book and you can go through it. It would be running into hundreds of pages, but what I've tried to do is I've tried to prepare a gist of the major stuff that would be required from this book and give you an idea about it, so that God forbid, even if some random interviewer asks you, like, do you know Babok, or do you know what are the knowledge areas, or do you know what are the underlying competencies? You're not completely blank. You at least have a high level idea about what it is all. Okay, so the major part of the Babok is again this knowledge areas, which it mentions are necessary to be known to business analysis. So there are six knowledge areas here, as you can see. Uh, the first one is business analysis, planning and monitoring. Then you have elicitation and collaboration, requirements lifecycle management, strategy analysis, requirements analysis, and design definition, and finally solution evaluation. So all of these six are equally important. So it is not like business analysis, planning and monitoring is the most important, while solution evaluation is the least. It's not like that. These are, rather you can look at these as different uh, areas which would be required in different phases of your project delivery. Okay, so in the next segment we will also look into specific examples or understand a bit more about each of these knowledge areas. This segment is specifically to give you an idea that okay, there are overall six knowledge areas, and also to tell you what are the different underlying competencies. If you know these things, you can say that you at least know at a high level as to what Babok is all about. So knowledge areas talk about the theoretical concepts, whereas your underlying competencies are about giving you a description of the behaviors, characteristics, and all which you should have intrinsically, like which you should practice as an individual, okay, to be better at your work as a ITBA. So these are again split into six categories. You have analytical thinking and problem solving, behavioral characteristics, business knowledge, communication skills, interaction skills, and tools and technology. Okay, so we don't have to really get into the details of underlying competencies as such, because these are more or less self-explanatory and you don't really need to delve too much into it. But of course, we will have to really know more about the knowledge areas to have an idea, because most of those things also are something which you may be aware of, but it just it's like putting those into a organized format. Okay, So the very first section of it is your business analysis, planning and monitoring. Okay, let's do one thing. We will touch upon this first knowledge area today in this segment, and then the next segment we can look into the remaining parts of it. Okay, so what do you mean by business analysis, planning and monitoring? So this is nothing but your section where you're talking about defining the scope and identifying the stakeholders and creating a plan, like how the requirements will be uh, elicited and how you will analyze, and having a high level understanding of the overall development process. This is generally what is done as part of your planning and monitoring. Okay, so if we have to get into the details, let's take our same example of your food delivery app. So first of all, as I mentioned, as part of your planning and monitoring, you need to do the scope definition part of it. So here you define the scope of your food delivery app project. Like you specify what will be part of your mobile app and what will not be part of it. And at the same time, you'll also identify who are the key stakeholders, like maybe for these food delivery app as an end product, who would be the stakeholders, could be restaurant customer, restaurant owners, your food delivery app, food delivery agents, your customers. These would be the ones who are the end users, and who are the stakeholders with whom you have to interact from the business. So again, there'll be different people from representing different divisions of the client company. So you have to discuss with them, and then you'll see how this app would be affected by different end users. So you'll have that high level understanding of the scope. After doing that, you'll identify, again as I said, the stakeholders. You identify who are all those stakeholders and how do you engage with them. Like how do you define the requirements gathering sessions, like do you club them together or do you keep them at different phase of the project, and then what are the meetings going to be like, and then again then you talk about what are the needs, the expectations, levels of involvement required from different stakeholders. These things can be part of your stakeholders identification engagement. Then you also have to look into the approach that is supposed to be used, like which techniques, which tools, what we covered in the previous segment. So what will be used by you in the project and how will you document the requirements, all of those things. Also, you may have to look into planning for requirements management, communication. How will you govern the requirements? What do you mean by governance is nothing but it will come later in your requirement analysis and design definition also. Like nothing but at a high level, you need to know how will you plan the requirements changing, or how would you keep a track of all the requirements that you have captured, all those things. Then again, if there are too many requirements, if you have to use a prioritization method, and for stakeholder collaboration, what will you do? All of these things, if there are any plans for looking at performance improvement that you want to bring into picture. So at a high level, consider that even before starting any other project, non-IT also, even before starting anything and getting into the implementation phase, you will spend considerable amount of time planning about how it should happen and then putting some monitoring tools into place, saying that okay, I'll do this, but for monitoring I'll do use these measures. So that is what your business planning, business analysis, planning and monitoring is all about. Okay, so we'll stop here for now. And as I mentioned, we'll look into the next 5 knowledge areas in the coming segments. Okay, thanks everyone.